our beliefs, our perspectives, these are things that evolve over time as we move through our lives. I sit here today as an atheist, but 5 years ago, if I had forced myself into a category, I probably would have been a deist, or at most an agnostic. And 10 or 15 years ago, I probably would have been considered some form of a Christian, even though even at that point, I was to the point where I wouldn't have identified with any particular church or denomination. But the point is that our beliefs evolve through time. I'm a much different person today at 31 than I was at 16 or 12 or 5. So even though I'm an atheist now, I would never say that I expect to be an atheist for the rest of my life. I mean, I do, sitting here right now, I do expect that. I don't foresee any change in that opinion and that conclusion that I have drawn. But I am open to the possibility of being persuaded to a different opinion. And that, to me, that's a scientific way of looking at the world. Because if you truly understand what science is, you accept the fact that it can bring you this close to certainty, but it can never bring you all the way there. There is no such thing as a fact in science that is not open to review. So even though I firmly believe in my atheism, and I firmly believe that there is no God and that there is no reason to believe there is a God, and that all religions who make claims about God and the supernatural and the afterlife are false, I leave just that little tiny bit of space to say, well, maybe someday there will be new evidence, maybe someday I will learn something I haven't known and I will change my mind. But one thing I will not be, and I can say this with pretty close to certainty, is a Christian. I don't think I could ever call myself a Christian, and there's a very good reason for that. Even if it were somehow demonstrated that the Christian God were real and that the Christian claims, the claims about reality and God and the afterlife and the universe that are made in the Bible were somehow proven to be true, I would be forced as a reasonable person to accept those conclusions. I would be forced to accept those facts. I could still never be a Christian. And the reason for that is that I find Christianity to be a immoral and perverse system. And whether or not it is real or mythical, it is still an immoral and perverse system. To be a Christian, you have to accept that Jesus was crucified as a substitutionary sacrifice for your sins. That is something I refuse to accept. Not only on practical grounds, because I believe that such a transaction as is proposed by Christians is just impossible. I don't think that even an omnipotent God could relieve someone of the guilt of something that they did. That just doesn't... once you do something, you have done it. There's no way to change that. You can forgive a person if they have wronged you, but you can't change the fact that they did it. So the substitutionary sacrifice of Jesus, to my way of thinking, is impossible. It's a fantasy. And the other thing is, it's horribly wrong. It's immoral. And I know I've mentioned this before, and I've talked about this with Christians before. And it doesn't matter how powerful Jesus was. It doesn't matter whether he was the Son of God or not. It doesn't matter how willing he was to be crucified. The point is, Jesus was innocent of the sins that he is meant to be carrying on the cross. And it's wrong, no matter which way you slice it, it's wrong to allow an innocent person to be punished for something that you did. And not only that, but to claim a benefit for yourself from it. If you've been imprisoned for committing a crime and someone comes up to you, walks up to your cell one day and says, hey, here's the deal. You get out of prison, go back to your life, you're a free person, I will serve your sentence for you. I am a completely innocent party, I have committed no crime myself, but I will serve your sentence in your place. I'm not saying that a lot of people wouldn't take that deal. Obviously, if someone offers to take your place in prison and the upside is you're not going to be in prison anymore, obviously that's an attractive deal. But that doesn't mean that it's right. It's wrong. If you take the deal, that is a morally wrong action to me. And that is the deal that Jesus offers Christians, metaphorically speaking. He says, I will serve your sentence for you. Or perhaps more correctly, I have served your sentence for you. And all you have to do is say, yeah, that counted for me too. And then you can reap the benefits. That's wrong. It doesn't matter whether you go to hell if you don't do it. It doesn't matter how great heaven is and how much God wants you to take the deal. If you take the deal, it's wrong. And any sort of moral system or religion or philosophy that is built on a central premise that is so horribly wrong is not something that I can be a part of. And the other thing Christians have to do, according to Jesus, in fact, according to Jesus, it's the number one commandment, the most important commandment, is love God. And God himself, not just through the voice of Jesus, but in his own voice throughout the Old Testament, makes a similar demand. God is constantly demanding love, demanding respect, demanding worship and tribute. And the mere fact that he does this renders him unworthy of that respect and that love. Never mind the fact that that if he were a real person, he would be the most horrifically prolific mass murderer ever. Never mind the fact that he's an asshole, that he's a jerk, that he creates people in the Bible and basically for no other reason than just to fuck with them and see what they'll do. But leave all that aside. All of that stuff, you add all that up, one of those means that I can't love and worship that God. But even if you leave that aside, just the fact that he is so demanding of love and respect and worship, that all by itself disqualifies him in my book. You can treat someone with respect. You can be respectful toward another person without actually respecting them truly in your mind. And God doesn't say, treat me with respect. God doesn't say, be nice to me or behave as though you loved me. Jesus doesn't say, act like you love God. The commandment is love God, worship God, respect God. And these aren't actions that you can choose to do or not to do. These are feelings. These are honest opinions and things that you come by naturally. If you don't love someone, if you look at someone and you honestly believe that they're unworthy of your love, that the things they do and stand for are so deeply offensive and repellent to you that you cannot possibly love this person, then ordering you to love them does no good. You can behave as though you love them. I mean, in Nazi Germany, there were lots of people who went along with the Nazis, who did not respect the Nazis, who did so out of self-preservation, who renounced certain beliefs, who appeared to follow certain rules, who professed certain creeds, without actually believing any of it, because they knew that they had to in order to survive. And that's not even what God is asking for. God is asking you not just to join his team and be an obedient little soldier, but to actually change your heart and to change your mind and to produce this love for him that in me just cannot exist. If God himself knocked on the door and he was the God of the Bible and he demanded to my face, love me, respect me, worship me, I wouldn't do it. I couldn't do it. It's not me being a tough guy. It's not like I'm sitting here saying, man, I wish there was a God. I would fuck him up. That's not it. I'm incapable of it. It's not in me to love someone like that. It's not in me to respect someone like that. And that's something that a Christian, by definition, has to do. And it's just not something I'm capable of doing. If the God of the Bible were 100% true and real, I still would not be a Christian, because Christianity is a warped and perverted system. There is not an ounce of genuine morality in it. The God that supposedly it is designed to honor is a horrible fiend. The central doctrine of salvation is impossible, for one, and even if it were possible, is deeply immoral and wrong. And it's nothing I could ever be a part of, no matter what the consequences. It's not even like a choice to me. It's not something I can just decide to do. It's horribly, horribly wrong, and it's something that even if there's this flood of unforeseen, unprecedented evidence for the biblical God that comes out in my lifetime, and I'm forced to accept that the biblical God is real and exists and the Bible is true after all, I still would not be a Christian. I would have to go to hell. That would be the only choice I had. Christianity is not one of those things like I can get behind the idea in general of an afterlife. I am not in any hurry to die. I'm not particularly enamored of the idea of complete annihilation of the self. I'm not really looking forward to that. So if you could tell me in a persuasive, scientifically based way that, oh, you know, your consciousness and your personality and your memories survive death and there is an afterlife, that would be great. I could get behind that. That's something that I can think of and think, oh, wouldn't it be nice if that were true? Christianity is not like that. Christianity is not something that I look at and I think, oh, well, you know, yeah, I don't believe it, but it's a nice story if only that were true. Christianity is something that I am very, very happy is not true, and very, very proud to say I don't believe in that. And something that I have to say, if I'm being honest with myself and with you, that even if it were true, I could not count myself as a Christian. I just could not. It's never, ever going to happen. God himself could not make it happen.